Hello, I'm Nancy Posey, and I'm here on behalf of the IBMA Songwriting Committee to talk today to John Meador and Bob Minner about one of their songs that's getting a lot of traction. Billy Collins, the former U.S. Poet Laureate, was asked once, "Where do you get your ideas?" And he said, "If I knew, I would go there and I would never come back."
Amen to that.
But it's one of those standard questions that people ask songwriters as well, as if there's just one answer. The two of you collaborated on Fall in Tennessee, which was named Song of the Year at IBMA ceremonies in Raleigh in September. And I see now this week it's also racking up some SPIGMA nomination for Bluegrass Song of the Year, and along with a lot of other nominations, I think, for Authentic and Unlimited. So
Yes,
congratulations.
Thank you.
So today we just wanted to talk about how you came up with, where did you get the idea for that particular song? So first, have the two of you written together before?
That was the first one, right?
Yeah, that was the first one. I guess where the idea come from. My wife, Ginger, and I, we go to East Tennessee. It's kind of ironic. We live in a cabin in Mount Juliet, but for some reason we rent a cabin because the backyards are bigger and the scenery's better. But we were driving back, and it was in the fall of that year, and the leaves were all changing, driving back. And we were talking about the different seasons, and I just said, I love all the seasons, but I still love the fall in Tennessee. And she gave me that look like, you need to write that down. And I really didn't think anything of it. It's just never happened. But with that, I was already hot on the trail of discovering Authentic Unlimited, so I get my years mixed up. But I had, you weren't there, but I had barbecue with Eli and Jerry, and always wanted. So it's like, hey, I'd love to write sometime, because I just knew these guys were going to be huge. The next big thing in bluegrass. But I was really attracted to John's singing, and I just called him up cold and said, hey, I'd love to write. And so that's how we hooked up.
Oh.
And do you consider yourself first and foremost a guitarist or a songwriter, or?
My day job is, 32 years now. I play acoustic for Tim McGraw. But I'm always a bluegrass guy. I've just been a bluegrass guy since I was a kid. So, yeah, I consider myself a guitarist, but more and more, I've been writing forever, but more and more, that's just kind of becoming the muse. It's the thing that I strive to do every day. And of course, like I said, I write a lot with my wife, Ginger. Since we're stuck in the same house together, we can't escape each other. Might as well write songs and argue.
Use the time well, and a chance to, something that has some permanence to it. I think when you write a song.
Right.
And have you been writing songs yourself?
I have. I've been writing a lot for the past probably 3 years. Before that, I didn't write a lot, just a few here and there. But in the past 2 or 3 years or so, I've made it a purpose of my day as well to try to come up with song seeds here and there and try to write a lot more often.
You keep a notebook. How do you save those little seeds when you come up with them?
I usually just take my voice memo out of my phone and just like speak it into there, or sing a little line if that comes first, Or sometimes it's just a hook or an idea, like Fall in Tennessee. Sometimes I have those, and I'll just write that down in my notes, and I'll revisit it at a different time.
Does it make a difference when you're writing a song when you know who's going to be singing it?
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I think songs have different genesis. It's like John said, sometimes it's just an idea that comes from somewhere, and you don't really have a direction for an artist. But more and more, I think I try to write an equal balance of, here's just songs that we're writing. But, in our genre, I'm such a fan of everybody, and as a songwriter, it's kind of like you want to hear other people do your songs that you're a fan of. And in my past, I've been fortunate with that in bluegrass, but even now it's like, you know, oh, I hear so and so singing it, and so sometimes I tailor the songs to kind of fit their style or whatnot, you know. So I think it's just whatever happens that day and whoever's looking, you know, being on the trail of who's looking. That's kind of the thing with bluegrass too. It's like, you know, you got to pick up the phone and go, hey, are you looking for songs? You know, so yeah, it's as much fun about the chase of it than it is the end result, you know, for me.
And sometimes if I start a song, I'm like, I can envision or I can hear a certain person singing it, and I hear them singing it as I write it, kind of thing. I do that a lot.
Yeah. And that was the way Fall in Tennessee was with John, because I just knew, you know, that he was just going to knock it out of the park.
When the two of you sat down together, did you just have the concept or just the hook, or?
He had it written down on a piece of paper.
He said, written down on a little piece of paper, and I said, you know, the first time you write with somebody, there's always that. It's an awkwardness a little bit because you don't know each other. You know, it's kind of like the first date kind of thing. You know.
What's your sign?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. You know. Do you like cream in your coffee, or you know, what's your favorite guitar string or whatever? But with us, it was off to the races pretty quick, and I had it on a piece of paper, and then I remember the melody was just, I was winging it to start, you know, just trying to find something.
I feel like that came really quickly.
It
was
did.
just like, it just fit.
You know, that first little guitar thing. And then I remember saying or having, her name was Autumn Ann Marie. And then John had the second line. And I mean, it happened pretty quick.
So, and you also said right off the bat, he's like, how do you feel about 3 first names for somebody's name? And I was like, well, I don't know. And of course, I didn't even know that said that on the paper, but he was just like, how do you feel about 3 first names? I was like, I don't know. I guess it's great.
Yeah. That's one of those trivial questions that, you know, is it Autumn and Marie? Or,
Right.
And that's I guess the thing that struck me, it's such a simple idea that a girl's name is Autumn, you know, Autumn the season, Autumn fall. No one's done that before. Who came up with that?
I just think as it is with songwriting, a lot of times there's mysteries to be solved even after the song's recorded and written. It's like you look back at it in retrospect and go, man, how did we get there? Or how did we get that? And I think that's part of the charm of songwriting. You just never know what direction the song is going to take. And when you look at it in retrospect, you know, I don't know, it makes you hungry for more of the chase. It's about chasing the idea. Right. You know, that's really what it is. You know, I don't know. It just fell out pretty quick, and it was an agreeable day to write a song. It was a good day because typically, I don't know about you, but typically, they don't come that easy.
When they do, you know you've done something right.
Yeah, you hope so. Right.
And that particular day, you know, we didn't know what we were going to write about. We had a compilation of many ideas, you know, that I brought to the table, he brought to the table, and then we both looked at that, and we knew that one felt the best for that day.
And the song has a real strong sense of place and time. I think about other songs, you know, the Kruger brothers have Carolina in the fall, but it focuses on the season more, you know, I guess the changing seasons themselves, and not so much the passing of time. This song, it leaves some space for the listeners, I think, to kind of fill in the blanks with what happened. What happened? You know, did Autumn leave? Pardon the pun, or did she die? Does this happen over how much time passes? And you don't really answer that. I think you leave it up to the listener.
It's very important to relate the year to her life. The seasons relate to different parts in her life. And she could have died or she could have left. We intended for it to be that ending, that outcome. That way it could relate to more people who've lived through different circumstances. Maybe somebody's lost a wife, and maybe somebody's wife left them, or a girlfriend, or what have you. They can all relate to that song in their own special way.
the open-endedness of it, I think is part of the draw of the song, you know. And when we got to that line, reasons why she had to go, you know, I told John, I said, you know, I said, dude, you got to put that line in the rafters, sing it, you know. And he, you know, really hits that high note. And so, you know, it kind of emphasizes that idea. I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, is she dead, or you know, or did she just leave? And I think that's part of the signature of a strong song, is when you pull the listener in and they can extrapolate whatever they want to, and it doesn't change the context of the song.
Yeah, what did Billy Joe McAllister throw off the Tallahatchie Bridge? You know, and
We're still asking that question.
we still don't know. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and I think the simplicity of the rhyme in the song really reinforces that. I had a history professor years ago, Louis Maiden. He was a Rhodes Scholar, and he had just loved Tennessee. And he would talk about the poetry. He said, "Tennessee, Mary Lee, I love thee." And did you ever think of anywhere? I mean, fall in South Dakota doesn't work, or you know, fall in Rhode Island. Yeah,
No,
it's not gonna work.
So Tennessee was pretty much a given,
you know.
And it rhymes with everything, and yet it doesn't feel pat or predictable.
And there are, you know, there's so many songs with Tennessee in it, you know, from Jimmy Martin's Tennessee to whatever else. So, but I don't even think we even calculated the clichéness of it. It was just like, let's just write a song and let it stand on its own. I think the subject matter kind of overrode anything that would have been implied, like, oh, that's another Tennessee song. Yeah. So it worked out to our favor.
Yeah, I think so too. And you know, and the melody, the melody and the lyrics really seem to be a perfect marriage. They reinforce the mood of the song. And you know, I was going to ask how easily that developed, but you said that was one of the first things that
pretty quickly.
Pretty quick. And
but then we got hungry, you see, so we decided to take a break.
Right. That was like, you know. But I think the melody of it too is, at least from my perspective, again, it just kind of fell right in line with, you know, nothing was really forced. And you know, when you write, there's always that two thing. There's always like the guitar vocal demo you do when you finish writing it for the day, you know. And then if it gets recorded, it's like, okay, so like how much difference is there going to be between that, you know? In my perception, we had the advantage if they were going to cut it, you know, because you write it with John and he sings the demo, you know, and it's like, so it's not a big jump. But when he sent me, you know, it was kind of funny because he goes, hey, we're going to, and really, we didn't even have any intention of really cutting it, writing the song for Authentic Unlimited. I just wanted to write with John.
Right.
Okay, maybe I won't.
Tell the truth.
But then he calls me, John calls me, and goes, hey, we're going to cut Fall in Tennessee. And I'm like, oh, really? And then he calls me back a couple, 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
He says, hey, you're not going to believe it. Jerry Douglas is going to play on it.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, really? You know, and I guess what I'm trying to say is the end result was the perfect marriage from writing it and the guitar vocal demo to the performance. I mean, it was perfect.
And both of you are guitarists, so that's, you know, a good starting
He's
point.
a guitarist and I'm sort of
No.
Yeah. But how much input did the band have as far as the harmonies and the other instrumentals?
Well, we everything we do is kind of a band effort. We all produce everything that we do all together. But yeah, that's not any different with this song. Just we got in there and decided to make a little demo of our own. We always get in the studio and the first thing we do is we work out arrangements on the song, write out a chart and stuff, and we play it and get it the way we want it to be, and then we practice that. We get a recording of it, and then we make the final recording.
do the tweaks.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, obviously, this has been a tough fall in Tennessee. The song wins the award, and within about 24 hours, we had the impact of Hurricane Helene. I think
Absolutely.
I saw you all played at the fundraiser that was held at City Winery for Appalachian Aid, and I think you've done several events like that. And in fact, one of your was Eli who was affected probably more than any of the rest.
Absolutely. He lives right on the North Carolina line, so it was pretty rough through there.
So I think fall can be really beautiful, but it was a tough one this year, wasn't it? Well, were you surprised by the success of the song? I mean, you knew it was a good song, I think, when you
answer that first.
You go.
Okay, you go first.
I don't know. I was not expecting it to win Song of the Year. I don't know how I got Video of the Year because it was just a performance video. It was a lot of fun though. But I was just, every time that they would call off Fall in Tennessee, I was like, wow. I was like, I didn't actually think that it would win. You know, the whole time that I saw it on the ballot, I was like, I don't guess it really came to me that it actually would win. But I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I was told by our label that, the song never really went #1, but it's been on the charts for over a year, which is really rare in any genre, much less bluegrass. And, I was surprised that I guess maybe not so much how long it was on the charts or the success it had, but in conversation with people or people sending me messages on Facebook or Instagram, I was maybe surprised is not the right word. I was really touched by how many people the song impacted for whatever reason was important to them. And that was a good validation as a songwriter because, you always, I don't know about you, but for me, it's like you finish a song and it's like, yeah, but is it really that good? Or is it just going to end up at the bottom of the stack? Or,
right.
And then I kept seeing it on different charts and seeing it. But, it's like anything else. There's the songwriter, there's the idea, there's the songwriter or songwriters. Then there's the recorded performance, So it's not just one thing. So the success of the song, if you want to talk about the success of the song, that's a larger collaborative effort, and even by things that we have nothing to do with, like people at the label or promotion or whatnot. But yeah, I'm just really pleased. And then of course, during the IBMA Awards, I was just a nervous wreck, because I've only had one other song really for collaboration, years ago with the band, but I wasn't at the award show. This one, my wife Ginger, she says, you just like learn to breathe, and of course they put the award for Song of the Year like almost at the end of the show.
Yeah.
So you have to suck it through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And did you have that? Had you practiced that? Well, it's just an honor to be nominated speech, so that when you actually won, you get to be surprised.
I didn't have anything practiced. I didn't.
When you look at how many songs are on the records that come out throughout the year in our world of bluegrass, and then the narrowing down process. Yeah, it really is an honor, win or lose, because IBMA is an award, any award in whatever category, it's a recognition from your voting peers, and so to be nominated, to get it down to the final 5 or whatever, that's a huge honor, and as a songwriter, even if you don't win the award, it still kind of puts you in a position where you're on the map now, as a songwriter, more so maybe than you were last year, so to win the award, absolutely huge honor. It's really changed my life. You know,
Mine too.
now the phone's ringing instead of me calling people. You know, I'm still going to aggravate people.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
see if they want to- but you know, it's put me in a different place. But it's kind of funny. In the box that the award comes in, you know, I had to smuggle that through the airport in Raleigh. You know, and the guy was like, I'm like, why is this going to look like in the X-ray? You know,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I'm not going to put it in my baggage. And he said, yeah, just go on. Is this an award? Yeah, going through. And so I get the award home, and I've got the 2 tickets to the show, and I got my thank yous written out.
Oh, wow.
And my mom came down for Thanksgiving, and other than that, showing her, I haven't had it out of the box. You know, it's not on display, because the truth is, next year it'll be somebody else that wins it, and it's like, okay, now what's the next song?
Right.
What do we do now, either together or separately, to move it forward? You know?
Absolutely.
So I'm honored.
Me
you
too.
know, but yeah, it's like you got to keep moving.
Yeah.
forward.
So yeah, you can't let success just slow you down and celebrate.
Yeah,
You need to
right.
move.
Yeah.
Are the 2 of you planning to collaborate again anytime soon?
Well,
I
I've
would.
written one other time,
Mm-hmm.
pretty great song, and we'll see what happens with that.
Oh, they want to record that, by the way. I don't know. I told you that. They want to record that possibly. So.
I'm just saying,
Oh yeah.
and it's a good one.
Get that magic.
Another East Tennessee trip caused that title or something. I don't know what it is about that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have Tennessee in it, so we're good on that.
Right.
Make it the general Southeast.
But you know, John is so busy with Authentic and Limited and family time, and it's like, you know, we're wanting to get back together. It's just finding time on his end to do it. You know, I'm ready because, you know, I've written with people that are successful songwriters, and we get along great, but maybe the creative element isn't there with them.
Right.
You know, and you go in going, man, I'm going to write a great one with this, and you just stare at the paper, you know, and so you start narrowing it down to like the small pool of people that you know you're going to do something, you're going to walk away with something. And for me, John's that one of those guys.
For me, yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
I know when we go in, you know, and the best thing about it is after we get done, I have to put the guitar vocal down.
You know it's gonna.
How you going to beat that voice?
Oh yeah.
You know? Yeah, which can be a deterrent because it's hard to pitch his stuff because people are like, man, I can't sing
I
better
don't know
than
if I
John
can.
Meador.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that's one thing about writing. When you're writing a bluegrass song, I think probably more than any other genre, it's the whole package. You know, bluegrass music, you've got the great lyrics and you've got the great instrumentals.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I think a lot of genres will lean heavily toward one or the other. But
Sure.
with this one, you seem to really have that. You got the magic.
And bluegrass is interesting in the sense that, you know, it's growing, it's expanding, and you know, I think we're getting over that hump of folks that go, well, that's not bluegrass.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Well, you know, and you can make a case for that with Monroe even starting bluegrass or Newgrass Revival or whatever, you know.
That was ingenuitive at the time, right? I mean, nothing like that had happened
Right.
before.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That was progressive at the time.
Exactly.
So I think what's happening is it's for songwriters, it's opening up more territory for us. You know, it's not just about, you know, cabin home on the hill and drowning your girlfriend. And those are great, you know, great subject matter, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the genre is expanding. And so it's allowing songwriters to write about things that maybe are a little bit more contemporary in subject matter.
More on matters of feeling rather than this happened. You know, one time.
Right.
Right. Mhm.
Right.
This is how now it's more of this is how I feel about what happened instead of just like this happened. That's how it happened.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. Kind
And I
of.
think that touches people Yeah.
It does,
Yeah,
you know,
in a
and
different
then
way.
there's always, you know, just writing the good old up-tempo bluegrass song.
Barn burner.
Yeah. So I'm thankful that the genre is expanding in those ways, you know, because it starts with a song. It always does,
That's exactly
you know.
right.
So that's kind of our mission.
Touching back on the feeling part, I don't think we can surpass one of the main reasons we write, and that's to make somebody feel something. It's to make them, it's to touch somebody. You know, it could be a private matter or an open matter. They don't have to tell anybody how that song makes them feel. But I think that's one of the main reasons I write, is because I want somebody to feel something from it. And that success may be very small compared to an IBMA award, but to me, it's very large when somebody, an older gentleman or something, comes up after a show and he's like, "Well, I lost my wife, you know, however many years ago, and this song, you know, makes me think about her," or something, you know, which has happened multiple times.
Well, I was looking even just the comments on the video link online, and all the just the wide variety of responses, and they did notice your high notes, you know that. Yeah, but I think that is, if you, and the more specific you get, I mean, you're talking about a specific girl who has three first names, and a specific time and place. And I think the more specific you get, the more universal the response is. If somebody doesn't have to love somebody in Tennessee to really get the feeling of that sense of loss.
And capturing the feeling, that's really the trick, you know, and that's hard to do. And I think writing is like anything, playing an instrument, singing, or, you know, it's a reflection of the time you've put into you know, you put the work in. And songwriting is kind of like that too. You know, and getting, you know, and what's fun for me is I'll be 59 in February, you know, so I'm looking at, you know, 60 is not that far off.
Right.
Yes, I know I look young, but don't say that.
I'm not saying a word about age.
But, you know, John's in his 20s. And it's like writing, it's like I bring a certain perspective because of my age and experiences, and he brings his perspective, or any other young writer. And I think that dualistic approach is kind of a nice thing, you know. Then he brings stuff that relates to his age group and his experiences, and I bring mine for whatever that's worth, and they just kind of meet in the middle. So that's, and maybe we'll find the feeling within that. And I think that's what happened with Fall in Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know, we just met in the middle with our life experiences and ideas, and that's where it landed.
Well,
I'm glad where it landed.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing the next one, and maybe we'll have a chance to acknowledge it as another award winner. And good luck with the next set of awards for Authentic Unlimited. Thank you so much, and appreciate
Thank you so much.
appreciate IBMA for hosting us.